Johnny here for Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. So today I'm covering the 2022 Ford Maverick. I'm going to be talking about the 10 things I love about the Ford Maverick and the 5 things I hate about the Ford Maverick. It's a strong word and I prefer dislike, so let's go with dislike. The 5 things I dislike about the Ford Maverick. So in this video, if you stay tuned, you should, because you're going to learn a lot about the Ford Maverick, some important facts to know about it, and some points that might help you decide if this is a right fit for you or if you should really stay far away from this model. So stay tuned. Let's put the pedal to the metal, burn our tires right into this one. Okay, Ford Maverick. 10 things I love, 5 things I hate. Number 1. So I love the hybrid. Now, there's nothing new here. They've got it in the Escape. It's great. It's giving us, ideally 40 miles per gallon. Yeah, some people are going to get 37 miles per gallon. That's 5.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So if you're in Canada or elsewhere in the world, and yeah, 5.9 liters per 100 kilometers. We've got some at 5.5 and we've got some at 6.5. And in the winter, expect to do about 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So about 36 miles per gallon. But it's a great setup. It's based on technology from the Ford Fusion, which we've had around since 2013. And hey, Ford is not new to the game when it comes to hybrids. Ford started back in 2003 on the Ford Escape with a hybrid. Now, that hybrid, the battery was small. It was a nickel battery. And they're still unbelievably reliable. They're still on the road. So I've got a lot of faith when it comes to this hybrid system. So that's why I love it. It's reliable, it's fuel efficient, and I like the idea of a hybrid. Some people are going to trash this and say they should have made it electric. Well, some people are going to whine no matter what, but hey, you got 2 things you can do with wine. You can either have it come out of your mouth or go in your mouth, and I'd rather the wine going into my mouth. So, on that note, let me tell you about what I love about the hybrid versus an electric. An electric is a huge battery. It takes a lot of dirty mining to get it done. That's dirty on the humanitarian aspect for certain parts of the world, and it's also just a dirty process. Now, making the battery is an unbelievably dirty process, which actually creates a little bit of radiation every time they build those batteries, and it just pollutes a lot to create the batteries. You're gonna be actually polluting a lot of water, a ton of water, to be a little bit more actually precise. So this is a small battery. So, a lot of places are producing electricity from coal. So, sometimes it actually makes a lot of sense to have that gas engine with the electric engine. Now, hopefully you're in an area that has something like hydropower or, debatable, but nuclear power. It's cleaner than coal. But then there's the issues long term. And the problem people have with nuclear power is the long term issues in regards to pollution. Well, you're going to have long-term issues with, those big, huge batteries. What do we do with them? So this actually brings me now, let's move right along. It brings me on to the number 1 hate. I hate that the hybrid isn't offered all-wheel drive. And like I said earlier, I do prefer the term dislike, but hey, let's just go with hate since it's better marketing. It's not great that you've got an Escape that can be and is mostly sold as an all-wheel drive hybrid, and then we can't have it for the Maverick. Try to explain that one to me. Why can't we have the Maverick as an all-wheel drive? Are they going to save it for 2023? Or is there an actual technical reason? So if there's any engineers watching this who have a bit of info on this, please go right ahead and leave it in the comments section. Number 2, I absolutely love the 2-liter turbo engine. Let me tell you why. It's peppy. It has next to no turbo lag. It should come with about 250 horsepower. It should have about 280 pound-feet of torque. And that torque is offered at a very low RPM. So your Maverick, it's going to burn some tire. Well, of course, with the traction control, it won't. But if you turn that off, I'm sure you'll be able to put the pedal to the metal and have a good time. So 2-liter turbo, I've driven it not just tens of times. I've driven it thousands of times. I had it in my Lincoln MKC. I've had the 2-liter turbo in other models that I've owned. Marie also had a Lincoln MKC just recently. It's a fantastic engine. And in the Maverick, it should be able to pull 4,000 pounds. So that's incredible. Now let's move on to the number 2, hate or dislike, if you're a little softer like me. So number 2, hate. It's the 4-point-foot box. Now, that's going to work for so many. And with the tailgate down, it is going to give you 6 feet. And with all the anchoring points, the 10 anchoring points, I think the box is actually going to work. However, it doesn't work for me. And I have trouble digging it for that reason. And I also kind of hate the fact that it's a 4.5-foot box versus a 5-foot box, because I'm sure journalists are going to jump all over this, and they're going to try to bring down the whole Maverick, ignore the price, ignore a lot of its positive points, and just talk about how awful the 4.5-foot box is. And that's just going to be frustrating for me, even if I can't convince Mary to get one, which I'm working on it. I'm hoping she will have a Maverick, so I'm hoping on the channel that we will have a Maverick to test. If not, she's going to stick it with her plug-in Escape, so stay tuned for videos on, who knows, which of those 2 videos. We'll have to wait and see. So not so coincidentally, my number 3 on the list for things that I love. Number 3 are the 10 tie downs. I kind of led into this with number 2. I love those 10 tie downs. My F-150 2011 took a ton of mileage on it. Super reliable, super great. Love turbo engines from Ford because they don't spit oil all over the place after only 80,000 kilometers like my Japanese import vehicles. They're a right-hand drive. They're literally imported. Pretty kick-ass, but yeah. The turbo engines are great. Now we're on to number 3. It's those tie downs. You get 10 tie downs. So the 4.5-foot box kind of annoys me, but with 10 tie downs, I can actually drive tailgate down and get the most use out of this truck. Now I had a 6.5-foot box on my F-150, and I never wanted to drive tailgate down because, it was just the whole setting up the whole straps with only 4 anchors. It just wasn't perfect. And of course, I would much prefer if this had a 5-foot box, but hey, I've got to live with it. Everyone's got to live with it. The price kind of forgives a whole lot. So with the tailgate down, giving you 6 feet and all those tie downs, the box actually should be pretty functional. This is going to be a perfect truck for a lot of people. Number 3 on the hate list. Now, this is going to seem a little weird, but it's not actually directly related to the truck itself. Since we are calling this a truck, since Ford has gone ahead and called this a truck, instead of a ute, or more precisely a pickup, like you'd think back to the 1940s and 50s, not a new concept, this whole unibody, which unibody means it's not body on a frame, it's kind of all one shell. There's nothing new here, but so many people are going to criticize this for it not being a body bolted onto a frame. And that's going to it's going to bug me. It's going to bother me. Journalists are going to criticize this, not now because the news is just coming out. So it's going to be all like rah excitement when they bring out the news. But you just go ahead and wait once they can actually review the vehicle. And that's when they're going to start getting negative to sell publicity. And it's going to drive me crazy. And, it's already getting me a little worked up in the comments section. Yeah, I realize it's not ideal that they called it a truck. They would have been better off calling this a ute, which has traditionally always been a car with a bed. Or, really selling and marketing the whole idea that it's a pickup in the style of, you think back to the 60s and 70s. Or, hey, I could do the more adult thing and just stop reading negative comments and letting it bother me. But, hey, we'll see what happens. Now, I absolutely love the price. The Ford Maverick is going to be so cheap to lease. And it's also going to be relatively cheap to buy. And of course, you know, some people are going to say this is still way too expensive, but if you compare it to trucks of the last 5, 6, 7 years, this is really cheap. You're getting a whole lot of practicality, you're getting really cool styling, and you're just getting an awesome price. 4,000 pounds of towing with the 2-liter turbo, of course, keep that in mind, because you're only going to get 2,000 pounds of towing out of the hybrid. But you know, for most people, you're going to have two groups. You're going to have the people who want to save a lot of gas, and 2,000 pounds is going to be perfect for them, 40 miles per gallon. Get the hybrid, but only front wheel drive, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Or the 2-liter turbo, which will be optional as a 4-wheel drive, which is great. You know, they're offering 4-wheel drive on an inexpensive truck that tows 4,000 pounds. The price is absolutely fantastic. So you could say Ford really isn't gouging anyone on this one when it comes to price. So, you know, hat off, eyebrow up. It's a really good price, and I'm really happy Ford isn't gouging anyone on this. And I do think, you know, with how the XL is equipped, people will get the XL hybrid, and even the XLT hybrid, if you can live with front wheel drive, because you know you don't have horrific winters and a lot of hills to slowly drive up, because you can live in snow and have a front wheel drive. The price is amazing. Ford's not gouging anyone. It's not as if you jump into an XLT and you're paying 30,000 USD. So great job, Ford, on the price. Absolutely love this. But now let's talk about the number 4 thing that I hate about it. The number 4 thing that I dislike, hate about the Ford Maverick is that there's only one configuration. You got 4-door, and you have a 4.5 foot bed. I would have loved a regular cab with a 5.5 foot bed. You know, make it kind of super cab. I don't care even if you go back to that whole 90s style sideways seats. I honestly, for me, I just need a place to put, you know, a raincoat or a winter jacket in the back of the cab. I want more bed. But there's only one configuration. But hey, that's fair. When you're trying to make an inexpensive truck, anytime you're trying to make something inexpensive, you need to cut the options down as much as possible and sell the highest volume as possible. And that's how you get a great price. So, hey, number 4 hate. I understand it. I get it. I'll live with it. But, you know, I'm hoping that maybe once they start selling a whole lot of these, maybe Gen 2 of the Maverick could have a longer box and 4-door, or if they need to, you know, because of the platform's limitations, they need to, let's cut down on some of that second row seating, and let's throw in a little bit more box. There's an idea for you. Number 5 on my list of things that I absolutely love about the 2022 Ford Maverick. I love the interior. The mix of designs looks amazing. It's got a great look, and the touchscreen is awesome. It's got a little bit of, if you notice in the photos, you've got some storage above the screen. You have some storage on the side of the screen. I think that's just a great setup. Ford's done a great job when it comes to the design, interior design of this vehicle. Absolutely love it. Now on to the number 5 on my hate list. Now, the 5th thing I hate about the Ford Maverick are the plastics inside. And I mean, I'm totally okay with plastics at this price range, but I'm gonna hate how journalists, when they review it, when they do their walk around and their hands-on, I'm sure they're all gonna tear apart the fact that the inside is made of plastic. They're gonna say, oh, don't get a Maverick. You know, we give it a 6 out of 10 because, you know, interior, real low score. That bugs me, because in life you need to take everything as a balance. You know, the pros, the cons, and you have to be reasonable, and you got to balance things out. At this price, what do you expect? Suede interior? It's not going to come out now. Journalists aren't going to have a problem with it until they get their hands on it. You know, they're going to spew out a whole lot of positive news for a couple months. And then they're going to spew out some negative news because they'll say, hey, we're all out of, you know, people wanting to read about all the positive news about the Maverick. Let's dig some dirt on this. And they're going to talk about the plastics. The plastics look good. The price is amazing. And, you know, when my 1994 Mustang had the heating issue and I was a little bit too chicken to drive it home, I took home a Subaru Impreza, and hey, I know that car makes a whole lot of people happy. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of medical staff, and a lot of them have Subarus, and I don't get it because that interior was incredibly plastic. But then again, the price. You have to take things into consideration. It was a regular Subaru Impreza, and the plastics didn't really get to me because while I'm driving, I kind of keep my attention on the road, and I'm not just touching everything. You know, it's weird, but I keep my hands on the steering wheel. So give me a nice cushy leather steering wheel with a little bit of padding behind it, and I'm a pretty happy camper. But journalists will take a real rip on the whole plastic issue. But I think the interior of this looks great. As long as the seats are comfortable and the steering wheel's comfortable in my hands, I'll be reviewing it and I'll be saying very positive things about it. Now, if the steering wheel feels like a clunk of hard plastic and the seats are really uncomfortable, well, I'll also point that out. So let's just wait and see. Number 6, I love how the Maverick offers different strokes for different folks. You know, you've got it's going to make the fuel economy group of people very happy. 40 miles per gallon. This thing's awesome. You know, you can be all really happy about the fact that you're driving a hybrid. And I also love the fact that then they're going in the complete opposite direction, making a whole completely different group of people real happy with that 2-liter turbo. And that's if you do your research. If you do your homework, you'll know the 2-liter turbo is, you know, it's the bomb. It's pedal to the metal fun. Should have 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque at very low RPM. It's a blast to drive. No complaints there. So if you're looking for power, here's the solution. In a truck that's you know, should be around the weight of a Bronco or an Escape, so give or take 3,400 pounds, you're gonna have fun with a 2-liter turbo, and it's got all that towing capacity. So absolutely fantastic that Ford decided to not just, you know, kind of satisfy the people in the middle, but the two extremes. I think this is going to work for a whole lot of people and very different types of people. You know, you're going to see someone at the Rona with their hybrid, and you're also going to see someone at the Rona who loves performance and has a 2-liter turbo, and both are going to love their vehicle for completely different reasons. Number 7, I love how the interior, it's smart. It's got a real attention for detail. You know, you can fit a bike in the second row because the paneling on the door paneling is made to fit a tire. That's smart. I love it. You can fit, you know, 1-liter water bottles, you know, which you need if you're going to be doing some long hikes or some, you know, biking in the woods. It's just set up in a smart way. The mix of materials, the mix of designs is also a smart, sharp setup. So I love how they really thought it through on the interior. You know, you've got plugs on the interior so you can charge your laptop. You have Apple CarPlay, and I can tell you the Ford systems, when it comes to voice recognition, it's also pretty smart. It's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than a lot of other manufacturers, so it's going to understand a good portion of what you've got to say. The 8th thing that I love about the 2022 Ford Maverick is I absolutely love the size. Now, we already have big trucks. Some people are going to criticize this saying, oh, it's too small. Heck, I even have a bit of an issue with the box, but we've got different trucks for that. You know, we've got the medium-sized truck market. We've got the big truck market. Both have actually exploded since the 1990s. You think a Ranger today or a Honda Odyssey is about the size of a 1990s F-150. So the truck market has exploded in size. It's also exploded in price. But here you have a truck that's small and inexpensive. So for all the people that have been complaining for years about trucks getting too big and too expensive, it's time now to put up, you know, take out your cash, or, you know, put up or shut up. Because this is the truck you've all been asking for. And, you know, Ford's delivering it. So for all those years of whining about price and size, it's time to, you know, have the wine, throw in some cheese, and have that wine go in your mouth instead of out of your mouth. Just to give you an idea of size, it's almost a foot. It's 11 inches shorter, so almost a foot shorter than a Ranger. It's going to be lower to the ground, so the roof is lower. Access to the bed, which people have fairly complained about F-150s and especially F-250s, that the box height has gotten really high, and it's hard to just throw in an arm over the side and get into that box without climbing into it. Heck, Ford's offers a ladder on their tailgate to get into the truck, and it's smart. It makes sense. These things are huge. But the Maverick is, it's got a really great size. The size is smart. So that's why it's made it onto the list of things that I love. Number 9, I love the payload. The payload is absolutely fantastic. At 1,500 pounds, this is mind-boggling. I'm not sure how many of you out there follow what kind of payload trucks have, but we have, in the 1,500 range, we have some classic trucks, you could say, that are running under 1,500 pounds. We've got the classic Ram 1500, 4-door, big cabin, big box. You're going to be running just under 1,400 pounds, at about 1,380 pounds. And you've got the Maverick coming in at 1,500 pounds with a unibody construction. One entire shell. Of course, they've added some reinforcements in the section between the cabin and the box, because traditionally back in the 60s and 70s with unibody trucks or utes, that's where often the frame, not the frame, but the shell, you could say, would kind of snap, and it's scrapped, it's finished. You don't come back from that. That's TKO. You're out for the 10 count. It's finished. But Ford has thought of that with this one. They're throwing in extra reinforcements in those sections. So I absolutely love the payload. It's going to be a payload you can use, that you can have fun with, and that you can live with. The 10th thing that I love about the Maverick is its timing. You think back in March, they accidentally teased us with images of the Maverick because they're filming for these commercials, and they didn't announce anything, but they're filming in the United States. So I went ahead and said, I really think this is going to be something that's offered in North America. They're filming here. It was uncovered. This is not so accidental, but they're letting us see and watching our reactions. Now, I think the market proved to be pretty positive in regards to comments saying, we want and need a small truck with a much smaller price than a Ford F-150. Instead of $600, $700, $800 a month, you're going to be looking at around the $400 a month mark, lease or purchase. And actually on lease, it should be less than $400 a month. And that's, decently equipped. That's a decently equipped XLT. And I encourage you to go on the Ford.ca or Ford.com website and build one out the way that you like it. And you'll find out for yourself. I've said it before in the video. I'll say it again. The pricing is absolutely awesome. And so is the timing. So they teased it out in March, and now they're releasing it in early June. And, we shouldn't be waiting 2-3 years for this. They didn't just say, hey, we're going to go ahead and build a Maverick one day in the future. No, they're jumping on this right off. This should be hitting, the very first ones should be hitting showroom floors in either November or December. So, the timing makes sense. You don't have to wait a ridiculous amount of time, sort of like the Bronco. Hope I get mine soon. But the timing is really good for this vehicle, and it's coming at a time when people need a small truck at a reasonable price. So it should help small businesses. It should help, your pretty much everybody. This thing will actually be able to go to the Rona, to the lumber yard, and it will just, it'll cut it. It'll really cut it. Okay, now for the bonus section. Bonus round, things that didn't quite make it to the list, and it's actually mostly the dislike list. So we won't put this on the 5 things that I hate. We'll say it's the few things that I dislike. Here we go. I'm not a fan of the name. I've got to say it. Maverick was a car in the 70s. It wasn't even all that popular, from my understanding. And in the comments, you can tell me if I'm completely wrong. Maybe they sold a whole bunch, but in my opinion, selling a whole bunch doesn't mean something's popular. You know, you can sell a whole bunch of Pintos and they're still not that great, and you're not going to see anyone restore a Pinto. And the Maverick, I don't see anyone really restoring Mavericks. It's not like, you know, a 68 Mustang, a Charger. It's the Maverick. Who remembers the Maverick? If you remember it and you're fond of that 70s Maverick, go ahead and throw it in the comments that I'm completely wrong. But I think they could have gone with a better name. I think the Ranchero was actually more popular, and I think it's still a little bit more in our lexicon. People still talk a little bit more about Ranchero or an El Camino. So you could have gone with a cool Ute name, and it would have actually been a little bit more fitting to this. Mind you, this has payload of certain 1500 trucks. So I also can understand that they went with, you know, all in and said, you know, this is a truck. The payload on this is crazy. The towing is okay at 4,000 pounds, but at the price, 4,000 pounds towing at the price they're asking, hey, sign me up. So what do you love and what do you hate about the model? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm not getting it. Let me know if I missed something that should have made the list, or if I put something on the list that, you know, makes no sense. Please go ahead, leave it in the comments. And as always, I hope this video has been helpful. And if it has, help me out. Hit like and hit the subscribe. Even bonus, extra help is if you hit the bell symbol. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I wish you all more cars and more power. Until next time.